Welcome to another episode of Dynamic Diecasters, where this week we're going to continue our Star Wars Build Your Own X-Wing build, with this one being stages 77 through 80. And when we get back, we'll go ahead and get started on stage 77. Welcome back. Like I said before our fabulous intro, we're going to be working on stages 77 through 80 today. Stage 7, pretty much they're going to be working on the rear fuselage and some other pieces, but the main part being the rear fuselage in this first section. So in stage 7, we'll go ahead and get started with stage 77. I'll go through the parts and then we'll go ahead and start the build. Not sure how long today's build will take. A couple of the later stages, there's a lot of little pieces, kind of like what we dealt with in building each individual wing, so it might take a little bit for those, but we'll see. There's not, like I said, in stage 77, there's not a lot of pieces, but I think we pull in pieces from the previous stages to help complete this. So the first part is the rear fuselage top support. The second piece, we've got the landing gear lockout extension cable. Then in this little package, we've got the droid socket front panel and the droid socket back panel. And then we've got 8 XW08 screws. Like I said, this main part provided encloses the top of the mechanism inside the rear fuselage and supports the outer panels. We also have the panels that line the droid socket and the extension cable that's used to link the landing gear lockout switch in the nose. If you remember in the last episode, we installed that to the circuit board at the rear fuselage. And it replaces the temporary connection that we made to test it in stage 72. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started on this stage, and I'll show you what we did when we get back. See you in about 30 to 45 seconds. And that was it for stage 77. Well, I wouldn't say that was it, but we basically routed all the wiring and plugged it all in the fuselage section. Attached that rear top that we got in this stage. And as you can see, we've routed all the wires with the cockpit up here and put the 2 droid sockets in the top there. Being real gentle with this because it's just, for one, it's heavy, but we also routed the power switch and the main switch in the bottom there. But with that, we'll go ahead and move on to stage 78. I don't know why. We'll go ahead and move on to stage 78. This is a lot of that detail work I was talking about. So this one will be, I don't know if we even attach anything to the ship or if we just assemble stuff in this stage, but what it says is the parts provided are the first components fitted on the X-Wing's hyperdrive mounting at the top of the rear fuselage. In this stage, we'll start the assembly by putting together the power generator, the power converter array, and the complex tangle of pipework that links them. That complex tangle of pipework was the part that I was talking about that's detailed. That's going to take a little bit. So we'll go through the parts and we'll go ahead and get started on the stage. One thing I don't care for that much in this, I assumed that this build was going to be a lot of die cast, and it really hasn't been any. Besides the framing part has been metal. The rest has been purely plastic. So I just feel the amount that I spent on this model, I don't know if it warrants the build quality, honestly. But we'll see when it gets to the end. It's a nice looking ship up to this point, but you know, being that it's fully plastic, I mean, it is heavy too, but anyhow. First part, we've got the hyperdrive mounting. Then we've got the power converters, the 5-part array, so there's five of them. Then we've got the power generator. Then we've got connecting pipes, and there's 12 of them on this sprue. So like I said, we don't have any screws, so that tells me we're just going to be assembling stuff on this. So when we come back, I'll show you what we did. It'll be about 30 to 45 seconds again. But yeah, we'll see in a few. And that was it for stage 78. Actually, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. But so you see this part, we put together these 5 power generators. Then we put the power generator coil here. And then you see all the piping. That's the detail work that I was talking about. I had to attach them to each power generator, and then attach them to the top of the coil here. So that's it for stage 78. In stage 79, I believe we continue working on that piece. So the parts provided in this stage are the next components to be added to the hyperdrive mounting at the top of the rear fuselage, like I said. In this stage, we'll continue the assembly by putting together the cooling system that goes behind the power generator. So more of building that piece up. So we probably won't be dealing with the X-Wing, the big piece at all in the remainder of this stage. I don't like seeing these little tiny pipes though. The detail work, and that's the one thing about this build, there's a lot of little tiny minute details in it. A lot of them. So, which is nice, but at the same time it's a pain. So the first part we're going to talk about is the cooling system mount. Then we've got the left hyperdrive jet mount, which there's 2 pieces. I believe it's these 2 right here. Then we've got the top vent, which is probably this piece right here. The pictures don't do them justice a lot of time because they're at an angle, but this is the top vent. Then we've got the left heat exchanger, which isn't any different than the right one, I don't think, except there might be a difference on the bottom end. Let's see, I don't know if there's anything that can differentiate. It says A1 and A2, so I would assume these go together. And then, they both say A1 and A2, so then they both look exactly the same, so I'll have to look. But one's the left heat exchanger and the other one's the right heat exchanger. Then we've got the transfer chamber. And then we've got the right hyperdrive jet mount. There's 2 halves of each of these. And then there's 2 left and right transfer pipes. And then there's connecting pipes. I'll have to look to see. I only have one. I'll have to look in the bag and see if there's another one. But there should be 2 of them, a left and a right one. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started on stage 79, and I'll show you what we did when we get back. See you in a few. And that was it for stage 79. So we did a little bit. It took about 17 minutes to do this part, but remember we had this piece. What we added was the transfer pipe the heat exchangers and the vent, and then the connecting piping right here. So remember, it was just this part that we did in the previous stage. We added this part. We also put together the hyperdrive mounts, which are these pieces here, but we didn't do anything with them yet. It says save them for later. So I'm not sure what later means. I guess we'll find out in stage 80. But with stage 80, it's still continuing of working on this. But it's the hyperdrive jets. So the pieces provided are the next components to be added to the X-Wing's hyperdrive assembly. We'll also have 6 more die-cast metal frames that'll extend the fuselage, but I believe we won't be doing anything with them. So they'll just be sitting off to the side until we put them on the ship. So with that, we'll go ahead and go through the parts, and then we'll work this stages build, and then we'll conclude the episode. This stage I don't think will take very long at all, because like I said, I looked through this at the beginning before I started working on it to know what I was doing for the most part. And these metal pieces, the left and right fuselage frames, we don't even do anything with. So those are the first parts I'll talk about. And then we've got the hyperdrive jet halves. There's 4 pairs on each sprue. And then we've got 2 hyperdrive jet end plates. Like I said, there's not much to this one. So with that being said, I'll go ahead and get started on the build, and I'll show you what we do when we get back. Probably 15 seconds or so. And that was it for stage 80. I probably shouldn't even have time-lapsed that. It literally took me 4 minutes. But so all we did was the previous stage, remember we had this assembly, we attached the hypersonic jets to it in the end plate. So we did that twice. And we didn't do anything else with it at this point. It said that's it. And then the 6 metal frame pieces we will deal with later as well. So for that being said, that was stage 80. Stage 78 and 79 were this piece right here. And then 77 was attaching the top rear fuselage to the X-Wing. So with that being said, that's it for this episode of Dynamic Diecasters. In the next episode, we'll be continuing our Knight Rider build. So that one's going to be, that one will be 4 stages this time. I know the first episode was only 2, but this next one will be 4. And then the next episode after that will be Titanic. And then after that, I think we're going to be starting our solar system build. So up until we get something else started. Because right now we're in a hiatus on the, as you guys know, Ghostbusters, DeLorean, and Enterprise until they hopefully get picked up by another company. This one will continue until completion, so I've got all the boxes for it, so you'll continue to see that one until we finish it. At some point when this one's finished, I believe I'm going to be starting the Optimus Prime build from Agora Models, I believe. That's my plan at this stage anyways, but I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and if you haven't subscribed to our channel, and you like this video, go ahead and like the video and subscribe to our channel and hit that bell so you get notified when new videos come out. Typically, I release videos on Fridays, but we'll see if we start putting more content on the channel, and we'll go from there. But expect the next episode to be a Knight Rider build episode. So for all of us at the Heart of Geek, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Dynamic Diecasters, and we'll see you in the next episode. Have a good night.